Alright, hello everyone. This is assignment 2 on GUIs. One of the last things I said in my last video is how I find it a bit annoying about how slow the camera speed was whenever you moved back, forward, left, right. So one of the first things I added was a camera movement speed. To what it was before, it moved about this type of speed, which works in some contexts, but in this case, especially with these types of projects, I want to be able to hold pictures. So I want to be able to move quite quickly. Like I can't chase the moon if I wanted to and things like that, should I ever need to. So what you can do is change the movement speed of your camera. So let's say I want to look above like I did in the last time. You can move a lot faster than what you want to. Another thing that I have added, at least briefly before we get into the main bulk of what this project was about, is the ability to add as many boxes as I want. They all have their own unique identifiers, which I will highlight in a second, but I can add as many boxes in this world as I desire. A little to-do in the future would probably be to make sure the box doesn't spawn in front of your face, because it's a little annoying. You might want a little further, but anytime I tried to edit it, it would end up somewhere in one of the corners and not move directly in front of. We'll figure that out in the future. So, on to the main portion of what this whole project is about. I'll go down the list of what's in my main UI. So, first is to select an object. I decided to add the world list into the class because I want to be able to switch through any objects I do add. There are little things I do need to change in the future, but for now it works. So currently we're selecting the plane, but I can easily change things to the moon, or some of these are not labeled. They've already been added to the world list that I haven't added personally. But let's say box 6. It starts at 6 even though it should start at 1 because there's already 6 other things in the world list and index starts at 0. That's another to-do. But 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then whatever else that we added. But let's go back to our plane. So there's two types of movement. You have the global and the relative, and you should be able to switch these with a click of a button, because at least when I was testing, it wasn't like that originally, because they were all listed, and it got a little clunky, especially when you add the color picker, because it's a big chunky box. So let's start with global. So global, you should be able to move and rotate your object based on kind of the center point. So I can move X rotations, Y rotations, and Z rotations. And your translations will be according to this 0, 0, 0 point. So your X will always move forward regardless of where that center of mass vector kind of is pointing at. Same with your Y's, same with your Z's. But if we decided to switch this to relative, that's when things get a little different. So my X rotation can move not necessarily according to these 3 highlighted axes, but the axes that are internal to the plane. So same thing with the translation. The X will move in the X direction is where the plane is pointing. The Y is the side to side, and the Z is up and down. So these are all different. And because we have an object selector, we can also change the same types of rotations with any of these objects. So let's say I'll make another box so I know where it is. And let's go find that box in the select an object. So this will be 11. You can do the same things with that as well, both relative and global. And things like that. Rotations are going to be a little high because of how far it is from that center point. But the translations and things like that should all work with any of these objects that you can place in this world. I don't mess with the moon because that already has its own orbit, but if it was a standalone object, it should work as well. So the last thing on here is, you might have seen it go away and disappear a couple times and show up in others, is the color picker. So the color picker works in the set ambient, so that doesn't necessarily change the whole color of the object itself, but more the lighting around it. So let's go back in the Gulf stream. So you can change the color, or at least the lighting towards the shape. You can see it changes exactly kind of like to the color that you pick on the wheel, because the plane itself is white, so if the lighting is blue, it's going to end up looking blue. You can see it more clearly with these objects. Since these are base red, the lighting is going to act a little weird on it. So if I did red, it'll be more red lighting. But a green is not necessarily green block, it's just a red with a heavily green lighting. And that kind of makes it look gray because opposite sides of the color wheel and all that. So those are what I currently have. So if I had to do some other extra edits in the future, I should, anytime I go to a new object, set these back all to 0 so you can keep its original position and things like that. Technically, the lighting, the box only works because, and only shows up in some of them because I have it set where unless they have a skin, because the skin has the whole color type of functions, you can change the color. For example, the sky box, I believe, does not have a skin. Neither does the moon, it seems, or the light, so you can't edit a color on there. But all the boxes and the plane does as well. So these should be reset to 0 because I did it with the color. So for example, if I go back to box 11, it kind of keeps that green, resets it. And if I go back to Gulfstream, resets it as well to where it was last. You can still technically change the grass if I wanted to as well, because it does have a skin and things like that. But yeah, so this is my assignment 2. Hope you all have a great day.